The Steel type. On average, the type with the highest defense stat and capable of resisting over half the types in the game. Plus, it can carry a booty type to greatness. So here we go, calculating the best Steel type combination. To calculate the greatest type combination for this video, I will be using this formula. Hopefully I can simplify and explain this quickly. So basically a type combination will gain 2 points for each type it is super effective against, and a bonus 1 point if both of its affiliated types are super effective against the same type. It will lose 2 points for each weaknesses, an additional loss of 3 points if it has a double weakness. It will gain half a point for each resistance, another half point for every double resistance, lose 2 points if both types are resisted by the same type, gain 2 for each immunity, and lose 2 for each liability, which are types that are immune against it. Hopefully you understood that. If there is a tiebreaker, I will just choose. And since we are dealing with the Steel type, I will only talk about the combination's immunity to poison if it involves more than just the poison type, since all Steel type has this characteristic. In 17th, and the worst Steel type combination is the unused combination of Steel and Normal. This combination is super effective against 3 types with 10 resistances. It also has 3 weaknesses, including a double weakness to fighting, and both Steel and Normal are resisted by Steel. Plus, it has the immunity to Ghost and Poison. Final score, 2. In 16th is Steel and Ice. This combination is super effective against 7 types with 8 resistances, including a double resistance to Ice. It also has 3 weaknesses with a double weakness to both Fire and Fighting. Both Steel and Ice are resisted by Steel, Fire, and Water. Final score, 2.5. In 15th is Steel and Psychic. This combination is super effective against 5 types with 9 resistances, including a double resistance to Psychic. It also has 4 weaknesses, and both Steel and Psychic are resisted by Steel. Plus, it's a liability to Dark. Final score, 5. 14th is Steel and Electric. This combination is super effective against 5 types with 11 resistances, including a double resistance to Steel and Flying. It also has 3 weaknesses, including a double weakness to Ground, and is a liability to Ground. And a final score of 5.5. In 13th is Steel and Rock. This combination is super effective against 6 types, with both Steel and Rock being super effective against Ice. It has 8 resistances, with a double resistance to both Flying and Normal, and 3 weaknesses, including a double weakness to both Ground and Fighting. Plus, both Steel and Rock are resisted by Steel, and has a final score of 6. In 12th is Steel and Grass. This combination is super effective against 5 types, with both Steel and Grass being super effective against Rock. It would have 9 resistances, including a double resistance to Grass, and also has 2 weaknesses, including a double weakness to Fire. Both Steel and Grass are resisted by Steel and Fire. Final score, 7. In 11th is Steel and Dragon. This combination is super effective against 4 types with 9 resistances, including a double resistance to Grass. It also has 2 weaknesses, and both Dragon and Steel are resisted by Steel. Plus, it's a liability to Fairy. Final score, 7. In 10th is Steel and Poison. This combination is super effective against 4 types, with both Steel and Poison being super effective against Fairy. It would have 9 resistances, including a double resistance to Grass, Bug, and Fairy. It also has 2 weaknesses, including a double weakness to Ground, plus it's a liability to Steel. Final score, 8. In 9th is Steel and Fire. This combination is super effective against 6 types, with both Steel and Fire being super effective against Ice. It would have 9 resistances, including 5 double resistances, but it would have 3 weaknesses, including a double weakness to Ground. Both Steel and Fire are resisted by Fire and Water. Final score, 9. In 8th is Steel and Bug. This combination is super effective against 6 type with 8 resistances, including a double resistance to Grass. It only has 1 weakness, which is a double weakness to Fire, and both Steel and Bug are resisted by Fire and Steel. Final score, 9.5. In 7th is Steel and Dark. This combination is super effective against 5 types with 9 resistances. It also has 3 weaknesses with a double weakness to Fighting, plus it has the immunity to Poison and Psychic. Final score, 9.5. In 6th is Steel and Water. This combination is super effective against 5 types, with both Steel and Water being super effective against Rock. It would have 10 resistances, including 3 double resistances and 3 weaknesses. Both Steel and Water are resisted by Steel. Final score, 11. In 5th is Steel and Ghost. This combination is super effective against 5 types with 9 resistances, including a double resistance to Bug. It also has 4 weaknesses and the immunity to Poison, Normal, and Fighting, but liability to Normal. Final score, 11. In 4th is Steel and Fighting. This combination is super effective against 6 types, with both Steel and Fighting being super effective against Rock and Ice. It would have 8 resistances, including a double resistance to both Bug and Rock, and 3 weaknesses, but is a liability to Ghost. Final score, 13. And third is Steel and Flying. This combination is super effective against 6 types with 8 resistances, including a double resistance to Bug and Grass. It also has 2 weaknesses, and both Steel and Flying are resisted by Steel and Electric, but does have the immunity to Ground and Poison. Final score, 13. And second is Steel and Fairy. This combination is super effective against 6 types with 9 resistances, including a double resistance to Bug. It also has 2 weaknesses, and both Steel and Fairy are resisted by Fire and Steel. Plus it has the immunity to Dragon and Poison. Final score, 13. In first place in the best Steel type combination is Steel and Ground. This combination is super effective against 7 types, with both Steel and Ground being super effective against Rock. It would have 8 resistances, including a double resistance to Rock, and it would only have 4 weaknesses. Plus it has the immunity to both Poison and Electric, but liability to Flying. Final score, 13.5. Now that's my calculation of the Steel type. Since the Steel type is absolutely unmatched in its defensive capabilities, it can make bad types good and good types better. And that's the end of the video. That's about it.